tell us what you are up to right now with your fight against fascism, your fight also against neoliberalism, and the upcoming Black People's March on the White House.
Thank you so much. I think it's really important uh, for me to say that for a long period of time, the struggle of African people in this country has suffered from assassinations and the uh, undermining of a particular politic that achieved great significance during the 1960s. And this politic of anti-colonialism was something that was replaced by struggles against racism. And that was extremely problematic. The struggle against colonialism, first of all, it recognized that the United States itself is a settler colony. And that's extremely important for us because when we talk about Gaza, I think it's necessary for us to talk about these Gazas all over this country, that these concentration camps euphemistically referred to as Indian reservations, where the lifespan of the people sometimes in the 50s and what have you. And incredible struggles have happened. And of course, as we know, one of the most recent examples of that struggle, of course, was Leonard Peltier, who was able finally to walk out of the prison after more than a half century being locked up. So for us, the question is one that we've tried to win what's characterized as the left in this country, the white left too, is the struggle against colonialism. And this has been a big problem historically, from back to the days of the Black Panther Party, if you will, even going back further, when you look at the movements, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and what have you, assassinations of Malcolm and even King, who was swept up during this period of anti-colonial fervor that was happening in this country and around the world. Martin Luther King, for example, was at the independence ceremony for Ghana, and he recognized the significance of the struggle against colonialism globally. So it was the intent of this government, who in its so-called counterinsurgency program that was called COINTELPRO, it intentionally described what it was about was destroying what it called Black nationalism organization, hate groups. We were one of those groups, the Panthers, all the groups that stood for independence, that stood for recognition that African people in the United States are colonized just as much as Palestinians, which is one of the reasons we were first out of the gate struggling in support for Palestine. 1967, after the so-called 67 war, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that I was a member of, one of the first organizations that came out. And as a consequence of that, the whole left and all the liberals took all the resources, money from SNCC, et cetera. And so the colonial question has been a fundamental question. And what has occurred is that the left has treated us in very much the way that colonizers treat subjects, is that in order for us to be heard, we had to bow to their definition of reality, which was quite different from what it was we experienced. And so what they would require is, generally speaking, the so-called struggle against fascism is usually a struggle against one sector of the colonial ruling class versus another sector. Fascism is an anomaly. It is not something that happens all the time. Colonialism is there all the time. And colonialism was there before there was a constitution, before there was a Bill of Rights that said that we had certain rights, et cetera. In fact, you mentioned the whole No King's Day, which is extraordinary, because even when you talk about No King's Day, you're talking about the struggle that colonizers here were engaged with, the ones who sent them here in the first place. And it was the struggle, as we've said, that that people fought for the freedom to oppress. So you have colonizers here fighting against the king. That's where in 1797, when the Bill of Rights was passed, African people were property in this country. That wasn't for us and never has been for us. And so this, they put me on trial saying that the Russians told us to talk about free speech and reparations and things like this, and that we were working for Russians. But the fact is that the Russians had no experience in what it is that we were talking about. We were the ones who experienced this, and we will have always been on the forefront of the question of free speech, freedom of assembly, because who would be on the forefront more than those who didn't have any of that? And we died. Many people died. And, people talk about this current era of crisis that we're experiencing today. When I say we, I'm talking, and the crisis, I'm talking about crisis of the system that has created a situation where it betrays all of the fundamental beliefs that it says is foundational in terms of what America is, including the Bill of Rights, including First Amendment, including the various kinds of freedoms. And it's reached a place where the system reveals itself as so fragile that it cannot even tolerate disagreement, can't tolerate a discussion, can't tolerate a discussion around Palestine or anything like that. So put people in prison and worse. And so this is the thing that we've been confronted with. And so for 17 years now, and this kicked off, I think is really important. We've been having Black People's March in the White House for 17 years. And it started shortly after the selection of Barack Hussein Obama as the president of the United States. And which was really important for us because Obama played into this notion of the end of oppression of African people in this country, about it being some kind of post-racial situation. In fact, he made statements like some 90-some-odd% of what was happening against African people had been resolved. And so, he put forth this kind of nonsense. And he was also engaged in wars against the peoples around the world. He was a vicious imperialist. He was white power and blackface. And it was very treacherous because it tricked a lot of people around the world. I remember Hugo Chavez meeting him for the first time and giving him a book around what had happened to the indigenous people in this country. I think Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee was something that he gave to him with an assumption that somehow Obama was going to help to change things.
It was the Open Veins of Latin America.
Open Veins of Latin America. Thank you. That's exactly what Yes. And so Obama was white power and blackface. And in fact, his selection, actually, I saw hysteria among African people. It was extraordinary because there was a presumption that his coming to power meant that somehow that was going to reflect in the conditions of existence of African people. People all around the world felt like this was, and even many white people voted for Obama because they thought it was going to be a drastic transformation. And of course, Obama turned out to be just another version of colonial white power.
Right.
So we started this, and because we thought it was really important with Obama being there, we organized the first national demonstration against Obama. And that was something like 9 months after he was elected. And some Africans criticized us for criticizing Obama. It has been something we've done annually since that time, because an objective has been to resurrect the anti-colonial movement. And the Black is Back Coalition is comprised of something like 17 different organizations, crossing the political and ideological spectrum, with united around the question of the struggle against colonialism. That's one of the struggles it's united around. So we go into Washington, D.C. Again, the 17th time we will go. And we expect there to be a really significant mobilization. We got people coming from throughout the U.S. Washington, D.C., as you know, is one of the places that the United States has unleashed National Guard troops to control our people. It's always been a problem, Washington, D.C. At one juncture, 70 to 80% of the population was African, and they've been pushing Africans out because it was an incredible contradiction to have the capital of the United States sitting in the middle of a hostile territory. And I say hostile because some of you may remember, well, Katie, you're too young, but when the assassination of King, it led to rebellions throughout this country, and Washington, D.C. was on fire, to the point that they actually had to surround the Capitol, the White House, with tanks and whatever for fear that the organization of African people was much greater than what it was. And so that's always been a problem. And so now we have all of these people pushing the African population out, this whole gentrification, just like Harlem and other places that used to be black, pushing the African population out. And so it's going to be really important for us to be there. And our message going forward is that reinforcements are on the way. So people are going to be coming there. And the theme of the Black is Back mobilization and conference is don't agonize, organize.
Right.
And we say don't agonize because what we see happening with this administration is something that has frightened a lot of people. And people are concerned. And the biggest concern is based on the fact that there appears not to be any alternative to the Democratic Party. And many Africans, as you know, turned against the Democratic Party, partially because of Palestine, partially because Africans had concluded that the Democratic Party had never given anything back to the African community. And something like, I think the Trump administration got something like 40% of the African vote. That's never happened before in history because people turned their backs against the Democratic Party, but they felt they had no alternative. We are that alternative. And that's what we're bringing. The struggle for self-determination is the alternative to both the Democrats and the Republican Party. We are winning. I feel quite confident of where we are in history at this moment. And that's why this Black is Back mobilization is so important. May I just say that there's going to be transportation coming from various places in this country. There's going to be a bus leaving from New York and New Jersey, and people can go to www.getonthebus.info. One word, getonthebus.info, not .com, but .info.
Okay.
There's going to be van leaving from St. Louis, Missouri on Friday, October 31st. The transportation will be coming from various other places, Chicago, and in the South as well. And you can go to also the blackisbackcoalition.org, blackisbackcoalition.org, and get more information. And the phone number that can be called is 973-929-1933, 973-929-1933.
I did want to show you something that I thought you would appreciate. And I think it's fine for people to go to the No Kings rally and try to infiltrate and move it to the left, but I also see a real opportunity for doing something as an alternative. And I want to show a clip of something that I thought captured some of the limitations of the No Kings movement, if you will. So this is from the No Kings March.
Whoa. It's about our demand. Don't put your hands on her. You're in a public place. News is just going to take a beautiful picture of this and paint us all as, like we're
pro-humanity, pro-anti.
So this is a woman at the No Kings rally who is mad at people from Code Pink who had a Palestine flag. So No Kings protests are angry at Palestine flag. Okay.
Whoa.
It's about our demand.
Don't put your hands on her.
You're in a public place. News is just going to take a beautiful picture of this and paint us all as, like we're
pro-humanity, pro-anti-genocide, pro-humanity.
Right, but you're at the wrong event, dude.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
Why do you think this is the wrong message here?
Because this is No Kings. This is about the United States. It's about our democracy. Don't put that thing on.
Whoa.
It's about our
demand.
Don't put your
Don't
hands on
put
You're in a
that
public
on.
place.
Okay, don't put
You're
that
in a
on me.
public
I'm
place.
just saying.
If you don't want to talk to him, but you just went up and yelled at him. Whoa.
And by the way, I just want to say that the bombs haven't stopped. I just watched 11 people get massacred this morning, and Israel has violated the ceasefire dozens of times, as we knew they would. So that's also why we're out here.
Why was that woman so hostile to you?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm just out here for humanity.
So to me, that kind of captures, this is what I know will not be happening at your rally.
Right. Yes, that's right. The whole social system rests on the foundation of colonialism. When we say colonialism, we talk about a colonial mode of production that for the first time in human history, a world economy was created of enslavement of Africans and other peoples around the world. And Palestine is a part of that struggle against the colonial mode of production. And so when people fight for Palestine, they're fighting against the pedestal, the whole pedestal of colonialism, provides for, the No Kings stuff and the wonderful stuff she's talking about America that allows her to ignore what's happening to other peoples around the world. So, this colonial mode of production is parasitic and requires extreme violence in order to maintain its status.
And we will have to have you back on to talk longer about this, because I think it's so important to talk about fascism, the intersection of fascism and colonialism, imperialism. While I was prepping for this, I thought of this George Jackson quote from 1972, where he says, "Settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation, understand that fascism is already here, that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will live poor butchered half-lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done. Discover humanity and your love and revolution."
Uhuru.
Yeah, Uhuru, yeah, indeed.
Yeah, and the woman reminds us of Che Guevara, that solidarity is about more than well-wishing,
Yeah.
but sharing the same fate, whether in victory or in defeat. Right on.
Right.
Uhuru.